Yeah.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Body Slam TNA post show. I'm joined by Io as always. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Well, sorry. Well, I had a good run around my neighborhood, in the morning, and then went to do a few groceries and stuff. I'm off work today and stuff, so. But
Nice.
beside that, this morning on the internet has been kind of crazy, like especially for TNA news. That's what we're gonna get into in a few seconds, and it's been like covering like the whole day from morning till afternoon. So besides that and my other busy life, I'm doing good. How about you, man?
Same. Uh, and to what you just said, I think that especially the last couple of weeks, a lot of the things happening in and around and before the show has kind of added to the excitement of the show, without taking away from it, but it just kind of adds an extra little layer to it. All this
Yeah,
news.
leave it to frickin' Dave Meltzer himself, like stirring up shit at 7 a.m. in the morning. Like, I kid you not. Like, sorry, I mean I know we're going off topic here, but like, how does this dude kind of like starts his day? Like, so in the morning they do like the web server or whatnot, and then like his um his reviews and podcasts and whatnot, they come out like in the morning. And so I'm looking at my phone and looking at these reports, and I'm like, bro, it's like 7 a.m. Why are people talking about this right now? It's like, but that's Twitter for you, like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about it too, like if it's breaking at 7 a.m. on your time, like Meltzer's on my time, it's like 4 in the morning. This man must not sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just get to it right now.
Before we get into it, I want to remind everyone this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but four powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it might actually stick in your head rather than forgetting immediately. It has Cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has Reishi, which decreases stress. It has Turkey Tail, which boosts your immune system, and we all know how you're going to need that on those nasty ass gym mats. On top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for your Body Slam at checkout for 25% off your first order. Okay, I believe you said it. You're excited. I'm excited too, but I want you to take it because I'm glad that we're starting with the news right away. I want you to get into it first. I believe we're all alluding to the potential. Well, basically, I think it kind of all started with that message that Meltzer put out, basically where he said, and I don't have the quote in front of me. Basically, that not AEW, WWE is trying to position TNA to be that number two show. But the way that he framed it, it was almost like he's basically saying they're trying to take
I,
away
I, I
views from.
can I can read it. I can read it for you if you want me to.
Yeah,
I just pulled it up.
yeah, okay, yeah. I just want to look at my phone. I was trying to memorize it.
All right. All right. How about I read it and then you take it from there? All right. All right.
Yeah,
So per West Wrestling Observer, WWE really want TNA to become the other promotion because they can control TNA. This is a major full court press. They just want Tony Khan out of the box, and they know that if the numbers stay good, that he's going to get a renewal at a much bigger number, just like they did. He's very profitable. The number will make him incredibly profitable, and they'll never get away from him or anything like that. So they feel like they need to make sure this is his last contract. So basically, what Meltzer was saying that WWE feels like if they can prop up TNA more, in his mind, become like quote unquote second biggest company or second number two or whatnot, that it would decrease AEW and their and like their chances of like getting renewed and whatnot. So basically, what he's saying, like, since WWE, TKO specifically have already had earned major media streaming deals with NBC, CW, now Paramount, and they're just kind of like decreasing uh, AEW stream. That's what Meltzer and thinking, and like some of the other people I'll start thinking. So what's your take on what Meltzer just put out, like making make WWE one TNA to be like the other company or number two?
of course, people are going to read that and take that in their heads. I could see as, oh, WWE's buying TNA. That's not where, I don't think, I didn't go there. I don't know how you felt. I wouldn't think that's where you would go immediately. But yeah, what did you think when you saw that part of it? Did you think that they were trying to acquire it up TNA?
Well, I mean, it's been an ongoing thing for like what people think about this relationship, like WWE is using TNA and whatnot and stuff, and I think it could be to that it could be to that assumption. I mean, it could be. I mean, this is just kind of happening out, but this is just kind of happening out of nowhere and stuff. But at the same time, hey, maybe this is my thinking. Like, yeah, in what some part, yes, obviously, yeah, AEW is AEW is the competition, yeah, blah blah blah, whatnot, and it could be that assumption. But another way I would say, like, this is a new TKO WWE, and they just feel like talents, and Triple H has said this before, talent can like groom elsewhere, like get the reps up and whatnot and blah 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 and all that stuff. Um, but for the most part, yeah, I would say. I mean, I would say, yeah, it has a little bit to do with AEW coming as you hear, like WWE's adding new events on the same day as AEW events and whatnot and stuff. But no, that's neither here nor there. What for anyway for people who are being like worried for people who are being like worried that like that all like TNA is in trouble, like being controlled and whatnot. Guys, like Anthem still owns a company, so as long as that's still around, like there's not really much to worry about. Like WWE, they can dictate or recommend or whatnot, but Anthem still makes the final call. So
Also, too, like I can take it like a lot of ways, and what this also it always reminds me of. I forget who said it. Maybe it was Alvarez on like an old review, an old WWE review. But he was just talking about how during the days when you'd see ECW appear on Raw, the way he put it was like Vince just kind of, and this is well before they bought ECW. The way he put it was they just kind of want to keep them friendly, so he could sign the guys right out of there, and they could become WWE stars rather than going anywhere else. And so the way I look at like WWE propping up TNA, yes, you could say that they're trying to hurt AEW, but the way I look at it is it the same way that you're seeing release WWE stars go right to NXT, right to TNA. I bet you WWE is more happy with that and okay with that and can swallow that a lot better, a lot easier than those people going to AEW.
yeah,
So it doesn't mean that they're buying them, but they're trying to help TNA. And by helping TNA, that takes away some of the things that AEW can do with, like, release talent. And you know what I mean? So
right,
again, TNA is not being sold as far as, I
and
can tell.
right, and the current president Carlos Silva has mentioned like the main goal for this year in particular is getting the brand more eyes, more exposure. Like hence being the streaming TV deal that they're still in talks with and stuff. So linking up with WWE, that's kind of like a big jackpot right from there. And I know like some have their own different feels. Like listen, like this is a big deal for the company because they're going to get more eyes and more exposure and more reaching out to like potential business partners, so which they are right now. So for TNA, like they're in a good spot. They're in a good spot. Like so, like everybody just needs to calm down. The haters need to just mind their own business and whatnot. So Meltzer needs to you know mind his own business because he doesn't really watch much of the product too, but it was whatnot. So that's just kind of where it is right now. And I know John Elba, he put up some interest in our info. Well, we'll get into another minute. But do you have any other thoughts on Meltzer's take or?
No, mainly just it's interesting just to see the narratives that people will run with, and usually that's whenever the stuff happens with TNA, it's usually the haters that will try to create a negative narrative. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would just say if you pay attention to the product or you're a fan of the product, you follow the product. I would say don't pay attention to anything until it's official from the
Exactly.
from the
That's kind of
brand
how I'm
itself.
going too. Like, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Uh,
So,
did you have anything else before we get into the show?
oh wait. John Elba put up an interesting info earlier too. Uh,
Okay.
and this is a big one that's getting a lot of people talking. I'm sure you saw it already.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
let's see. All right, just a second. All right. So from the sources from according to John Elba from multiple sources, it says like TNA apparently is open to report no it's open like open to moving Impact to Wednesday nights should they get a new streaming deal or whatnot or like on a so basically if they land on a WWE net on a WWE network sort of like CW for instance or
Mhm.
like they're open reportedly open to moving to Wednesday nights which would be like going head to head with AEW Dynamite and stuff. Apparently, as we know, there's no word on Carlos Silva has either confirmed or denied on that assumption or rumor or whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of what got a lot of people, TNA fans, AEW fans, up in war. Like, are they mad or what is this? Blah 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 and stuff. So, what's your take when you heard that report from John Elba?
While you were doing that, I was wanting to Google something just to back up what I'm going to say. I don't like any idea of two wrestling company. I don't think that's a good idea. Just for the simple fact that, yeah, you could probably argue that, and even though it's less weeks of the year, TNA would probably do better going against Dynamite on Wednesdays than they do during football season. You know, I don't look at the ratings that way that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I just don't. The reason what I was googling was because I remember this number. This isn't back in the day when reported like 10 million people were watching wrestling. You know what I mean? These companies right now they're fighting for viewers. So the idea that two are going to go ahead against each other and fight for an even smaller pie, I don't think that's smart. I wouldn't think that'd be. And again, everyone knows what happened. Again, I don't want to mention because everyone repeats the same thing. But TNA did try this once before, trying to go against WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw, and it didn't work very well. And I remember when they were like, it was funny when they're like, "Oh, we're going back to Thursday nights, like the night we're supposed to be on." Like it was kind of funny them saying that, but it's really because they
yeah,
didn't do very well going against WWE, and it's not their fault. It's WWE. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Raw's like primetime viewing. That's like the number. Everyone knows that show. So
And
it's like,
it's
yeah,
not too long ago. Sorry, and it's not too long ago that NXT and AEW were going head to head on a weekly, and I mean, I would say like yeah, competition. I get it. Like everybody say competition makes the best out of the brands. I get that, and that's somewhat very accurate too. Like, but from the long term, like it forced. Well, I would say yeah, NXT did take some beatings, and I will say at least like I will say they're like in a better position right now than prior, in my opinion. But if we're talking for like TNA specifically, yes, the Monday night 2010, yeah, bro, I was there. I mean, you and I were there. We lived it. It was kind of like a strange feeling, like making us choose between Impact and Raw. If you would ask me now, 100% Impact, but then looking at the product, I would say, oh my God. Um, It took yeah. They didn't recover after like long story short, they didn't recover after, that Monday night 2010 war and whatnot. So it would be on their best to kind of like avoid doing that. Like, because I get it, even though competition is competition, according to some folks, but this is TNA particularly, and we're trying to, from a longevity standpoint, we're trying to grow within the new network or streaming that they're in. Like, that's my thing. Like, from a longevity standpoint, it will definitely hurt TNA specifically because I mean Wednesday, like you have, Wednesday's pretty much AEW's base. Like, the fans, it's gonna be tough to kind of like, swish viewers or whatnot. And of course, from I'm hearing, from even if this is WWE influencing, like making TNA go like pawns and whatnot, like apparently, like and again, this is what some are saying, but for the record, like some are saying, like, oh, WWE wants TNA to compete with AEW so that they can decrease the rate AEW's ratings or hurt them and whatnot, even though it'll hurt TNA and blah 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 whatnot. I don't want that. Like, I'm sure you don't want that, and yes, our TNA fans, the the ones who have a good thinking, like we don't want that either, because like, hey, like we want TNA to grow 5 years from now, with the new streaming that they get. And I feel like, being head to head with AEW is not gonna, like, for the long haul, it's not gonna be good for them. So yeah, if they can just find a way to maintain on Thursday. And I get football. Yeah, I get it. Football season's pretty tough too. I mean, would you look at which is kind of, I mean, what would you think is better? Like from a long-term standpoint, staying on Thursdays even though they got to deal with football, or taking a chance, going head to head with Dynamite. What would you think?
There's no reason to go head to head with the other show. It's not like Wednesdays is a better night. TNA is synonymous with Thursday night. You know what I mean? That's their night. Only moving to a better network would like improve anything as far as I'm concerned. And as far as going against football, you're only going against it for 18 weeks a year for Thursday night. I mean, I think 17 games. So it's like that would be less than what you're having to face with Dynamite, which you'd be facing them 65 weeks a year, you know what I mean? Or 56 weeks a year. Or yeah. So it's like, yeah, stay on Thursdays. Just try to get a better network, because that's going to me getting a better network, but going to Wednesdays would be almost like one step forward, two steps back. Like they don't need to try to compete. And also too, I just think that even though it's more an easier battle going against AEW if you're TNA than WWE going against WWE, I just think that a lot of the AEW and the TNA fans overlap, and so you're making them choose. You know what I mean? Like for, you know what I mean? Like, as everyone saw tonight, TNA's own Ace Austin, I believe, according to Fightful, had signed with AEW. I'm going to follow his career. You know, I don't want to have to, if he's on, I don't want to have to choose. You know what I mean? So I think we stick to Thursdays, man. Yeah.
Same. You want, like, even though, like, yeah, it's football season Thursdays and whatnot, you, like, for a wrestling fan at some point, you want their attention towards TNA, like, even like not not having to worry about making them choose between Dynamite or TNA and whatnot and stuff. And plus, it would go against everything, like, what Carlos Silva, mentioned, like, he wants TNA to, like, expand to broader audience and stuff. And, like, how can you do that when you're going up against another company? So
exactly,
for the most part, yeah, I hope they manage to. I mean, I hope it's not really accurate, whatever, these reports coming out, like, yeah. So yeah, hope it's not. Yeah, hope it's not accurate with these reports coming out. So I hope, yeah, they need to stay on Thursdays, or figure something out, like, once they get the deal. But I'm sure they'll get the right deal that'll please us fans.
And you know what? And just to do a little even deep dive, just real quick about the football thing. Everyone kind of knows that out of the three like primetime games, the Thursday one is usually the weaker of the three behind Monday Night Football, and obviously Sunday Night Football being number one. So, like, usually, like, me speaking, unless the game's really good, I'm not going to I probably won't watch it, or I'm going to watch it if it's my team. But like I said, I don't think that TNA having to worry about football is that big of a deal as much some people might think it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say out before we get into the show?
Yes. So this last report that just came just now from one Sean Rossap, apparently it's not really a confirmed rumor, but we're just gonna like put it out there. So it seems like at one point like TNA was in talks of being bought, but not from it doesn't say WWE, but apparently from a very interesting name for MMA fans. You heard of the name Lorenzo Fertitta? For those who don't know, Lorenzo Fertitta, he is the former co-owner of the Ultimate Fighting Championship UFC. hmm So yeah, apparently it's again unconfirmed rumor or whatnot. So apparently it seems like there's a possibility he might purchase TNA. At least that's what's what I'm hearing or so. But let me just bring up the.
My ears
All right, here
perked
we go.
up when I heard
All right, here we go.
that.
All right, there are a ton of unconfirmed rumors in the wrestling industry that Lorenzo Fertitta could be buying TNA. Fertitta used to own UFC before it was sold and put under the TKO umbrella. Blah blah blah. So yeah, what would you think? What did you think when you heard that? When you heard that rumor?
Well, I perked up a little bit just because the time period I believe that the Fertittas own UFC is like 2000 to like 2016. And anybody who knows or follows UFC knows that was, in my opinion, that was the golden age. That's when you
Yes.
had that's when you had Anderson Silva and GSP's great runs.
GSP, BJ Penn, Chuck Liddell,
You had all
Randy
those great
Couture,
trilogies.
yeah,
Yeah. You had all
Tito
those great
Ortiz, yeah,
trilogies. So sorry, yeah. Brock, like Brock's debut, like it was Frank Mir beating Brock. You had, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you had the Chuck Tito trilogy. You had the Chuck Randy trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, so when I heard that, I'm like, oh damn, like that's a big name. You know what I mean? Maybe he's not synonymous with wrestling, but he's synonymous with big
yeah,
fights. A production of bringing. That's like the
yeah.
UFC had unbridled
Like
success back then. You
big
know what I
fight,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Return when it comes to like big fights, big sport promoter, blah blah blah, whatnot. Yeah, he's up there, and he's a very wealthy guy too. It's like yeah. So yeah we don't know not much about to it, but some TNA fans thinking like oh that could be cool. And for me, I'm one of those guys like I need to see the plan laid out. I mentioned that in our group chat. I need to see the plan laid out before I get or at least attempt to be excited or think about it whatnot. So I mean, I guess we'll see from there. But I mean, again, unconfirmed rumor, guys. So this might be the only time we'll talk about it. So whatnot. So,
Even though that's enticing to me, there's just still something about the safe bet. Going back to the rumors we've been hearing about TNA possibly landing on one of those already existing streaming networks, just because the infrastructure and the numbers already built into those platforms is there. So, you know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, while the Fertitta name is interesting, like you just said, it's not like he owns a network. Like, what would he even do with it, TNA? You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
that's more of a wait and see if anything comes to
I
fruition on
mean,
that
he
one.
has he has money and connections. That's all we know. I
Yeah.
mean, of course he would have, but that's just all we know for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into tonight's show.
All right. What NXT? We want to talk about NXT real quick.
Yes.
All right. So this week NXT before JC Jane and Fallon Henley they faced off against Kalani Jordan and Lola Vice. Masha Slamovich and Ash by Elegance made an appearance. And they were in the crowd. Um, Long story short, after JC's match, well, she lost by the way. Spoiler alert. So backstage, Fatal Influence was with Ava and the personal concierge. So Ava made the match at WWE Heatwave in I think it's the 24th. Yeah.
Yes.
The For the first time, the TNA Knockouts title will be defended on a WWE PLE. It will be JC Jane defending against both Masha and Ash by Elegance in a three-way. And I'll get your thoughts, but also Ava announced next Tuesday a match. A match I know you're excited for. Um, Fatal Influence taking on the Elegance brand. All right, so
Yes.
yeah, what are your thoughts when the match was announced? That we assumed it was going to happen at Emergence, but it seems like it's going to be happening on a bigger stage like a WPLE.
Well, a couple of things I'm looking at that card, because one of the things that really interests me is I believe next week it is Trick versus Javon, and the winner takes on Oba at that show. Even though this wouldn't, I don't think, do anything for TNA fans, I think they should have Trick win that match, become double champ, because I need to see Trick his ego even bigger. And even though it's not, it would just to me cement that, oh man, the TNA champ is better than the NXT champ. And even though it's not technically a TNA guy, I think it'd be pretty cool if Trick was a double champ. Going back to the triple threat match, I don't see JC dropping the title, but if she was going to drop the title that night, I think Ash would win, and I think Ash would pin Masha, just because I don't think they would have. I don't think it's a problem not having JC win. I could see NXT, WWE not wanting that, and that doesn't bother me. But I like the kind of idea of Masha kind of having like a little bit of a losing streak before they build her back up again.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Like, because I've been paying attention to NXT and like the way how the contenders are lining up for JC particularly. Like I mentioned, she lost in a tag match, so contenders are lining up for her NXT title, which kind of makes it interesting. Like, okay, what about for the Knockouts title? So, long story short, I think there's a chance JC might lose the Knockouts title. I know some people thought like, oh, she might hold on to Bound for Glory, the same way we think with Tripp, but I don't think that's the case. I think the Knockouts title might return to TNA a bit sooner. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'll say who I think should win maybe next week. 'Cause as Heatwave will close by, but I think it could go. I'll say this: it could go either way. Like if JC retains, all right. If Masha regains the belt, all right. If Ash somehow wins this match, could be a very interesting development. So we'll see what goes from there. But the cool thing is that everyone's gonna be watching, WWE fans, TNA fans. And that's the pretty cool thing as a relationship.
Yeah, definitely. And also too, going back to what because also on that card though is a triple threat for the number one contender for the NXT Women's title as well. It's Jada Parker taking on Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice. So it'll be interesting to see if in fact who wins that match. And then maybe we get like a stare off if JC does win or if JC loses, because I think if JC does lose, that's going to start kind of her losing both belts. But yeah, I do think that there is a good chance that JC does lose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry I kept jumping the gun before. We had a lot to talk about. Before we get into my show, was there anything else you could think of? Because a lot of those things I could think of.
I think that's about it. We kind of covered, the rumors, reports, okay. NXT. I think we're good.
Okay. Okay. So now we're gonna get into tonight's show. This reminded me of we're talking a lot about old school wrestling. This reminded me of how it used a Nitro or WWE Raw would start. We open up in the parking lot. What would seem Moose has been taken out. Yeah. He says Trick in first class, and I like how the show just started. Eddie's let's rally the troops. We're going to the ring. You know what I mean? Because Eddie's basically the second in command. He gets the boys. He goes down to the ring. You know what I mean? The show just starts. I love the way this show started. We had the System, Eddie, Myers, and JDC versus Trick and First Class. I want you to start with this, but before we just get into, I just want to say I feel bad for Casey. We wish Casey nothing but the best. I believe I saw that he got successful surgery, but I think Rich is already starting where he left off. Rich looked great in this match.
Yeah, he's in great shape too. Like you can tell he's been like working himself a lot prior to coming back. But he's in phenomenal shape. So the first match was pretty good in the opener. You can see the difference like with the system now. Like now that they're baby faces, like now they're kind of like putting more in ring work. Like they're kind of like wrestling their asses, and all three of them are very good wrestlers, especially Dirty Dang. I mean JDC, as our buddy Miguel likes to point out, he's very underrated. Um, yeah, this was kind of a good way to kind of like help put a little support, fan support, I guess you could say, towards the system, and especially Moose because he got taken out. So tomorrow's World Titles match is going to be interesting how that develops. So yeah, I like that Swan got the pin. At yeah, I like that Swan got the pin. It's his first match back, and then kind of it really shows like okay, AJ, I mean AJ may have a point. That's what he was saying last week. Like they were on a losing streak or whatnot, with Casey around. But now with Swan back, like they seem to be, back on the winning streak, or so to speak. So yeah, you're gonna see a very serious and dangerous version of First Class, probably the original one, but yeah, it was the first opener. Yeah, good one. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I like I like Rich getting a roll up. I thought everyone shined in this match. JDC especially for me. But yeah, no, I like how they just starting the show hot. You know what I mean? Almost just starting with an angle, just like it's not usually not just start. They're started with the match, but they started with like a story almost. You know what I mean? So yeah, I really like this. Okay, next we're gonna move on to our second match, and actually another tag match. We had, and real quick, shout out to our good friend Datia, who I bet you she was. I think you said it in one of our chats. I hope she was loving the show because this was pretty much all about the Knockouts tag team division. This whole show,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you had five teams from TNA, one from NXT. It's pretty deep now. Pretty deep now.
And looking at the card, for Emergence, yeah, this for the knockouts wise, like the spotlight is on the tag titles, which is pretty cool.
So we had Harley Hudson and Miley Grace versus Danny Luna and Indy Hartwell. I thought this was fun. I think that TNA. I would even though we spoiler real quick, we know we're getting Indy versus Rosemary, I believe, at Emergence. I like Indy in the tag team, especially with a really good worker such as Danny. I thought this match was really good. I thought Indy picked her spots, and the spots that she was in, she looked a lot better than having to go out there and kind of not I wouldn't say Tessa carried her in the last match that they had, but I would say that Tessa did a majority of the work. So Indy, kind of being able to make the hot tag, I think she shines more in that role. This was a fun match. I'm not surprised Indy got the win, but it was interesting because for what it set up after.
Yeah, this was a good good decent match. All four international women, so we got a little international flavor. Um, it's interesting, for Danny, like as they'll show like a segment later, we'll get into like she still seems to be kind of like uh carrying on her own singles, and then pairing up with our new friend apparently in Indy Hartwell. But yeah, this match was basically to showcase Indy. Good show, yeah, good effort from Milo Hudson, and but yeah, good. It was basically to showcase Indy. What's interesting, you want to get into what happened after? Or?
Yeah, out of nowhere, Rosemary hits Indy with the mist, and I didn't know if this was going to be just kind of a random occurrence, but we later in the show we're going to get into it now. Rosemary basically just cuts a promo and kind of calling out Indy, basically saying, "Oh, you thought it was going to be easy your path to the Knockouts title." And then I just like how Rosemary closed it, basically saying she wants to be known as the gatekeeper now, and I like that role for her. You know what I mean? I like the idea of not just the newbies, but people who want to win the title or want to try to get in the main event scene, having to go through Rosemary. I like this.
Yeah,
This is good.
yeah. That's kind of how she is. Like at some point, like if you're coming up on the ranks in TNA, like at some point you're gonna have to cross paths with Rosemary. Like she is, yeah, you could say like the gatekeeper, or trying to think of another word. She's you could say like the embodiment of like the current knockouts division or blah 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 whatnot. So yeah, basically
Mhm.
yeah, eventually this was gonna happen for Indy. It's funny, like I kind of noticed Rosemary a bit when Indy was walking to the ring. Like someone, I don't know if if you go back, like someone had like their head down, like, and I think it was like, oh, is that Rosemary? Like, cause like like someone had like the hooded up, someone had like their hood up and whatnot. So, yeah. But
Anytime that spot happens,
yeah,
I was just gonna say, anytime that spot happens or something similar, I just want the person to be wearing a mask of themselves, just like Sting was. I always just thought that was so funny when Sting was wearing a Sting mask. I think it was
yeah,
yeah, it was in TNA, I believe, right? Because he did it in Nitro once, and then I
yeah,
believe he did it on
yeah.
TNA as well. But I always thought that was funny. But yeah, I did not see Rosemary, so this was good. I like the way they did this,
Oh, okay,
and I
okay.
think
Maybe it was just me. Yeah,
yeah, no, I did not see her. And let me just say that if they're gonna have Indian singles matches, they're picking the right opponents for her. I mean, she's gonna learn being in there with Rosemary. Rosemary's a seasoned vet. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
this should be a good opponent for her. Okay, next we're gonna move on to. I love this. This was the Jason Hodge taking on Matt Cardona. All the Order 4 is out there except for Ali. This was quick. Man, Order 4 is a well-oiled machine with the way they're getting involved in matches now. It's really tough to beat them. What'd you think about this?
I'm glad Hannafin pointed out that John Schuyler had a in his debut match years back. He had a win over Matt Cardona, so I'm glad they kind of point that out.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was all right. I think what's most important is what happened after the match. But yeah, this was kind of a decent match. Yeah, this was basically kind of show how serious this Order 4 is now. Mustafa coming off the big win over Hendry last week and stuff. Surprisingly, no Joe Hendry this week. It's kind of surprising, but that's another story. So yeah, Order 4, making sure they get the last word, and then Mustafa comes out, and then instead of him trying to get his hands dirty, he brings out his head of Secret Service, Agent Zero, and he's a big, tall looking dude. Once
yeah.
he's a big, tall looking dude looking at him. So yeah, Agent Zero comes out to you know do again what he did to Cardona weeks back, and
Yeah. Agent Zero is to Order 4 what Joe Dorian was to VBD. You know what I mean? He's their scary heavy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Agent Zero is definitely a presence. You know what I mean?
hmm
And yeah, he's manhandled Cardona. So and after this match, we get Cardona kind of saying that he
I
wants
like.
Ali.
Oh, sorry. I like how what he. I'm sorry, Agent Zero. Like he only appears when with Mustafa, so you can tell like he's like Mustafa's um secret weapon, I guess you could say, or whatnot. So like yeah,
Yeah,
because like he's not like one of the other Secret Service people that comes out during the entrance and stuff. He comes out with Mustafa, so that's when you know how serious this particular guy is.
Yeah, exactly. That's his. That's his number one. You know what I mean? Like he's only going to bring him out. He doesn't go anywhere without. He doesn't go anywhere without him. So yeah, I like that point.
Exactly.
And so, real quickly after that, we just moved to a quick segment in the back, and I like how Tasha's basically the QB of this group. I mean, she's running point. Cardona said he wants Ali, and I just love the way Tasha said, "Okay, you're going to get Ali to Emergence, and you know what I mean. It's probably not going to be that easy. I expect Ali to win. We're going to get more into that in a little when we get into predictions, but this was fine. This should be another good feud."
Yeah, interesting matchup.
Okay. Next, we're going to get into what I thought was the segment of the night. This was the Knockout Summit. We get Santino coming out first, and he brings out all the Knockouts tag teams. First, obviously, he's going to bring out the Elegance brand, and Hannafin finally noted that they are going to do the Freebird rule, which I think that makes total sense. You know what I mean? I always like it especially when you have a group of three, all three can work. They win the tag belts. I always like when they do this. But yeah, they bring out the Elegance brand.
And Ash is focusing. Yeah, sorry. And Ash is focusing on the 3-way. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. They bring out the Elegance brand, Heather and M, Zaya Brookside and Lei Yingli, the Inspiration, and Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix. Let me just say, it's not because, and clearly M's a presence. It's not just because of her height. You know what I mean? She was a tall one out there. Was pretty badass. She was towering over everybody. But I thought she commanded this whole segment. Like, I think that was like the first promo I heard her cut, and she was money. Like, she's like a natural heel. I thought everyone shined in this segment, but I thought that she shined the brightest. But what do you think about this?
Wait, are you talking about M? M Biogans?
Yeah, M. Sorry, M. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This was it was a good way to kind of like put some more interest in the 4-way match for tomorrow. I did like, even though the TNA fan of me is supposed to hate this, I did like Fallon and Jasmine brought up that well, it's a trend that NXT Superstars has TNA titles. Well, it's going to continue when we won the titles tomorrow, and yeah, hoping that doesn't happen. But yeah, I'm glad they pointed that out. I like the pairing between Brookside and Lei Yingli. I think. Well, yeah, they are friends. They are actual friends. If you follow their socials and stuff. So, and they're also like they bring some difference. Like Lei being the serious one, Brookside being the technician too. So like I kind of like that pairing. So I'm kind of pulling for them. We'll get into predictions later. The Inspiration, they command obviously, as they command the room whenever they're around. Like they command because they have quite the presence, and everyone loves the Inspiration. But yeah, for back to the Elegance brand. Yeah, this was a good way for Heather and M to kind of like do their own talking, because most of the time it'd be Ash and the personal concierge doing the talking. So I'm glad they kind of got their shining on the mic. So yeah, and long story short, because it's knockouts, we all can't get along and whatnot. So there was a brawl after. I kind of laughed that Santino said like, "Okay, you guys got 5 seconds to like get your aggression."
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, that was good.
Just a couple things. I love when companies let their wrestlers who are not native English speakers speak their language. And I love Lei Yingli to cut us a promo in Chinese. I believe she's Chinese, right? Yeah,
She's Chinese.
I love that. As you said, the Inspiration, they're so funny. Like, they're like naturally funny, like on the mic. Like, they don't even have to like try. Like, their banter back and forth, it's just hilarious. I know she doesn't get to wrestle as much, and she's still very green, but I thought Jasmine did pretty good in her time. I thought Jasmine did all right. You know what I mean? Fallon's definitely the better on the mic, but I thought Jasmine did fine. Yeah, no, this was a good segment. I like the pairing of Zaya and Lee, but I think eventually Zaya needs to be kind of positioned to be that one of the top faces in the knockouts division. She just has a natural baby face presence.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to root for. Okay. We already talked about the Gia promo. We're going to go into the Northern Armory. The Northern Armory comes out. It's going to be Eric Young versus Mike Santana. This was a fun, quick match. You know what I mean? These are like, I don't think Eric Young is capable of having a bad match. You know what I mean? There's I know it's a different gimmick, but his name was Super Eric. He is super. I thought this was good. You know what I mean? I think these guys had great chemistry with each other. What do you think about this?
Yeah, you would think this would be a match that would be fitting for like a PLE, like Emergence, but I'm glad we kind of got it tonight. Yeah, both guys, come from like, different generations. EY being, the OG and whatnot, Santana being the current standard of TNA. This is a good match. Good way for Santana to keep climbing back up the ranks to the world title shot. He's defeating former world champions. He's got another former world champion tomorrow, and yeah, this was a good, decent match.
Yeah. I agree completely. Santana has just been on a tear lately, and yeah, like I said, EY always. I don't think AU is capable of having a subpar match. So yeah, this is good. Okay, next we're going to get into another segment. It was the King's Speech with Frankie Kazarian. I love how the feuds can kind of continue with the announcers. You heard Ray Walt. He was kind of saying that this usually be his favorite segment. You know what I mean? And like Hannafin is just so disgusted with fucking Frankie. Anytime he comes out, you can just hear Hannafin's disdain for this man.
Yeah.
But it was the King's Speech with Jake Something and Steve Macklin. I thought this was spectacular. I would have been fine if they would have just not said anything to each other, because the intensity you could feel through the screen. But they eventually did cut promos on each other. What did you think about this?
Yeah, this was well, first of all, I want to say I'm starting to kind of like dig, Frankie's new thing, the King's Speech, because he's the heel, and it helps him to kind of like it helps what he can like he can like be the heel and like be the jerk, while the other two guests kind of like trying to build towards a match and whatnot. So yeah, I can get why they kind of keep doing the King's Speech and stuff. But yeah, Macklin, Jake Something, yeah, both guys you know got straight to the point. You know, Macklin, willing to defend the belt against the best of whoever, and Jake Something, still waiting for that one that to climb that brass ring, first championship or whatnot stuff. So yeah, long story short, yeah, Frankie's still running his mouth, and I forgot who strike first. Was it yeah, I think Frankie poked Jake Something in the eyes, and then went after Steve, but then Steve counter, and then Jake hit the void on Macklin. Is that what happened?
Yeah, and that every time Jake hits that dude, it looks so good. Yeah, he looked dominant in that, and you know what I mean. Usually, I wouldn't kind of go the reverse way of the booking. You know what I mean. I wouldn't think Jake was gonna win, but they sure made him look like a killer out there. So tomorrow's gonna be interesting. Okay, next we're gonna move into our main event. And was this not supposed to be the main event?
Originally, it wasn't, because of what went down earlier. The system
Okay.
and first class. So yeah, they keep saying like this was the new main event.
Okay. Yeah, it was the Rascals and Cedric Alexander versus Leon Slater and the Hardys. This was a fucking great trios match.
This was excellent.
I had to put down my notes, you know what I mean, just because this is one of those matches where if you blink, you're going to miss something. And despite the Hardys, the oldest of the two, I didn't think they were outshined. You know what I mean? Obviously, they can't do what they
Yeah,
used to be able to do, but I thought that they
that's
carried their own. But what do you think about
that's
this?
that's a cool thing. Like you even forget like the Hardys are in the like the Hardy Boys are in this match. Like everyone everyone shined well. Like from the Brascals to Leon to Cedric and then the Hardys, everyone shined. I knew we were gonna get like a good banger, because this was a champions versus challengers match, heading into tomorrow. Um, the right team won, obviously. But yeah, Leon, like folks, like if you're watching Leon for the first time, like this guy is a can this kid is a can't miss. Like he is really that good, and tonight's show was an example was that. Um, Myron Reed, even though like he's kind of just came in, kind of like substitute, I guess you could substitute for Trey. He's really coming on his own, like showing like there's different variations of the Rascals and how they work. So I'm glad he kind of got his shine in. But yeah, the Hardys, being in there, they didn't. Yeah, it looked like they didn't lose a step, and I think that's kind of I guess that credits to them, also the good opponents that they're in the ring with, and then Leon Slater, being the youngest out of the team, you know, doing his thing. But yeah, Cedric, I like the counter he got with the lumbar check. Well, I think Leon was going for like a springboard move, and then I think a springboard back elbow or whatnot, but then Cedric counter with the lumbar check and got the three. So yeah, it was a good match. The right team won. Good way to close the show. What you think?
That lumbar check always looks so nasty. I always go into my back of my head because I feel like it's a video shared a lot. I think I'm remembering the two people, but I believe it was like an indie show where Cedric hit like Candice LeRae with like a like
Yeah,
brutal like dude. Obviously, Candice LeRae is a little bit smaller, and with a combination of that and the way she sold it, but that lumbar check always looked so brutal. Like
I like the move. It's like it's like one of those moves like it really like boosts you up like once he hits you on the knees and then you're like flying up in the sky for a
yeah,
bit. So yeah.
and it leads to being able to comically kind of oversell it. You know what I mean? Like because you're bouncing up on you know what I mean. But yeah, I thought that Myron Reed was the MVP of this match. I would like to see maybe Leon versus Myron Reed at Victory Road. I think
Same.
uh, I think that'd
Same.
be a really good match. Yeah, I thought Myron just
I
every
think Myra should get more singles matches.
yeah because I don't know how I would like that to be the case. I don't know how long Trey is going to be out, but if that was a permanent trio of the three, I'd rather have going forward for a little bit Trey and Wentz as a tag team and Myron kind of doing his singles thing. Just because I feel like there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen yet with him. But yeah, this was a good match. I thought when everyone went to the outside was nuts. Leon like kind of like ollied over, like lofted over the corner. Like it looks so smooth. But yeah, this was fun. And like you said, the right team won. And you needed Cedric to kind of pin him because like the whole thing was Cedric didn't get pinned in that triple threat. That's why he wanted this match. So Cedric gets the pin and kind of shows that he's got Leon's number. Leon doesn't have his. So I think that's probably going to be the match of the night. I would probably think that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Okay. But with that being said, we're going to go into predictions. Before we do, any final thoughts on the show? And I've got the predictions pulled up.
Um yeah, good way to like, get folks excited for Emergence. Surprising, yeah, I was quite surprised Joe Hendry wasn't on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither near or there. But yeah, solid show. Yeah, a solid go home show, I'll say. Um, for a show that didn't even have Masha, JC, and Ash, like the knockout still got some shine, thanks to that summit. But oh yeah, we didn't bring up the Mance Warner and Steph Philander segment, so apparently they did get suspended after
I didn't see this.
after last week. I like Mance when he said like if it's if it's if it's wrong to make love to my sweet lady, then lock away and throw away the key. And I'm like, yeah, man, I agree. Yeah, he said that. Like, I agree, man. Like, you guys did nothing wrong, technically. So, basically, they're saying that they don't care. They're suspended. Like, you're gonna see them real soon. So, it'll be interesting from there. So,
Good on TNA to go all the way with their like the natural obviously I believe they're together in real life. Their natural chemistry on
the
screen, like
American.
they're definitely becoming that power couple. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's that's so funny.
Yeah, they fit together on TV. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna go into our predictions now for Emergence tomorrow night, live from Baltimore. I believe it's from Baltimore,
Baltimore.
Maryland. So our first match, it's going to be Ryan Nemeth taking on Hometown Man, and I'm predicting either a Lamar Jackson jersey. He could go for a Ray Lewis jersey, or maybe a Flacco. But I
I
would,
gotta
I
go
would,
for the Red Lewis.
yeah, I would say that would be like the home, like the really hometown pig, tug at the team, the fans' heartstrings. But Lamar would be current. But yeah, I'm going with you. I'm going with the Ray Lewis jersey. But yeah, I think Hometown Man gets the win. Ryan Nemeth should not win singles matches or win a match without his brother. That should be the gimmick. I'm
Yeah,
going Hometown Man.
I think that is like Ryan basically like unless it's explosion, like he can't win a match without having his brother around and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, hometown man definitely. And I wouldn't be surprised if like you mentioned like wearing the Ravens jersey. The mascot of the Baltimore Ravens is going to be there, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets involved.
Okay. Are you going with you're going with Hometown Man, right?
Hometown man, yeah.
Okay. Our next match is going to be Rosemary versus Indy Hartwell. I think because they're doing this match so soon, I think that makes it easier for me to pick Rosemary. But I also think that this is not going to be over after one match. And
Yeah.
I could honestly see them actually pulling the trigger and kind of doing what I thought they were going to do with Zaya and Rosemary, where they were going to become a team. I think that I would like to see maybe Indy and Rosemary as a team. I think again, putting Indy with any great worker is only going to help her. So yeah, no, I'm going Rosemary, and I think this is the start of a long-term feud.
It could be that way. Two things. I think, yeah, Indy could win, uh, but also like if they tend to like continue this, because like Rosemary just missed her, and then like they're just having one match that fast. I'll say maybe a DQ might happen. Maybe just because Rosemary, since when does she care about wins and losses? Like she might get herself DQ or whatnot, and then continue through from there. Or if not, maybe Indy might get the win. So I'm just gonna go with Indy for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they continue this feud.
Okay, we're going to go into our knockouts four-way tag team our knockouts four-team championship match. We have the Elegance brand, Em and Heather, taking on the Inspiration versus Zaya and Laying Lee versus Fatal Influence, Fallon and Jasmine. What are you thinking on this one?
Well, this could go. Well, number one, anyone but a Fatal Influence. I think we can just get that out of the way. Um, this can go. Honestly, this can go either way. Like the Inspiration just came back. Uh, Brookside and Lei Ling. They're on a winning streak. Fatal Influence. They have the advantage of like because NXT has our belts and stuff. So some would assume like three people, blah blah blah. And of course, the Elegance brand. I would say the pressure is on them, particularly because yeah, M is basically defending Ash's belt for her and stuff. So if they lose, Ash is not going to be one happy camper, especially the stress of like going into the heavyweight match she has. So, and also, going into next Tuesday when they face Fatal Influence. So, a lot of pressure is definitely on the Elegance brand. So, I'm gonna originally I would say the Elegance brand retain, but considering they had those titles for a while, I mean maybe they might do a title change. So I'm gonna go with maybe Lay Lane and Zion Brooks, because yeah, because it's we haven't really had like a babyface tag team since Spitfire split up, and no offense to Mila and Harley, they're still green and like well I mean they're still kind of green to like TNA and stuff. So I'm gonna go Brookside and Lay Lane to win this.
I'm actually going to go with the Elegance brand because I think we're going to have a short run of them having all the gold. I
Mhm.
think that Ash will, because I think Ash is eventually going to win the Knockouts title, and I think that
That is
the
true.
Elegance brand. I think him and Heather will have the titles for a little bit. Obviously, Ash will have hers a little bit longer. But yeah, no, I'm thinking the Elegance brand's winning.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the System, Cardona and Eddie. Not Cardona. We have Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards taking on First Class, AJ Francis and Rich Swann. I think this one's pretty easy. I'm going with First Class.
Yeah, they're in their hometown. Swan and Francis are from Baltimore, so that's pretty interesting. Gonna go with First Class too, as they kind of again, like they're picking back where they left off and possibly back into tag title contention. So yeah, First Class.
Next, we're going to go into Matt Cardona taking on Mustafa Ali. What are you thinking about this one? I don't. I think this is a simple one, but maybe I'm just overthinking. What do you think about this one?
Mustafa's getting the win. Like he's been on a roll. You know what I realized? Like uh, since coming into TNA, Mustafa's only been pinned by three people. Uh, well, pinned and submit by three people: Speedball, Nick Nemitz, and Mike Santana. And the last fall he got was from Mike Santana. So since then, yeah, Ali has been on a roll. Like he's been, even though like he's kind of like cunning and then taking advantage of like the numbers game he has with Order 4 and stuff. He always managed to like come away with the win. So this should be no different. Yeah, this is kind of Mustafa, building his own rise to like get into the world title probably later on this year or whatnot. So yeah, Mustafa. Agent Zero will definitely get involved because as he has previously. So yeah, expect him to.
Yeah, I expect. Yeah, now I think about it, Ali will most likely get the win. A lot of shenanigans, and I would think that one of the matches they tape would be probably Cardona versus Agent Zero in his first match. I could see that happening. So yeah, I'm going
Mhm.
with Ali. Okay, next we're going to go to the most interesting match on the show because I don't think it's. I think on one hand it's very predictable, just given the stipulation, not the stipulation, but what's online. On the other hand, I think it's kind of easy. It's Sammy Callahan taking on Mike Santana. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this has been um this is quite interesting because I mean I'm not talking about like who wins or who lost. I mean obviously I'm going with Santana, but it's like the way they've kind of like been building this up to like possibly being Sammy's last match or like if he doesn't win like basically okay so basically if he originally I was trying to think okay like how's this go? Is Sammy trying to prove that he still can be the death machine or whatnot? So like if he doesn't beat Santana, he'll walk away, and apparently that's what Hannafin and Raywell keep saying. So I think we're gonna get probably the best Sammy Callahan we got in a long time because he's going up against the standard Mike Santana. These two are gonna like tore down the place. Like I'm serious, folks. You should definitely check it out tomorrow. But at the same time, this seems like there's a reason for that. Like it seems like Sammy might be stepping away, from I wouldn't say maybe retired, maybe, but from probably a TNA standpoint, maybe this is probably the end of the road. So expect a good match. Santana getting the win, but I think this is probably it for Sammy. And I know we'll kind of I'll get my if it is like I'll say a few things about Callahan, on the post review maybe tomorrow and stuff. But yeah, definitely Santana. What do you think?
You know what? I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to. I don't think it's Suzanne for Sammy. I think they're going to go to a draw, and that way, you have an already ready-made feud for when Santana wins the title.
Do you know the interesting segment I saw like on the show tonight when Sammy got confronted by Eddie Edwards, and obviously we know their history and stuff. And I like how Eddie pointed out to Sammy, like, for one last time, we bring the death machine, like the death machine that injured his face, with the baseball bat, the death machine that's like the biggest rotten piece of what, like back in the day. Um, bring that guy back, for one night, against a great competitor in Sammy and Santana. So I think we're gonna get a good banger. But Santana, he's still climbing up the ranks. So there's a
Okay, our next match are going to be the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Myron Reed taking on the Hardys. I don't know where to go on this one. What are you thinking?
um. I know some will think the Hardys. I probably might think the Hardys too. Um, for me personally, because I know it's obvious, where they're set, Bound for Glory, the Dudleys and stuff. I said this but once, and I said this many times. I'm gonna say now. I don't think it needs to be for the tag titles. Like I think the Hardys should drop those belts before Bound for Glory. So if it's with Emergence with its Rackles, I'll be cool with that. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting, like uh, what they're doing with this current reign for Matt and Jeff, like, cause nothing against them. I think it's quite time other teams kind of get their hands on the other on those tag belts. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going with the Hardys.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the Rascals just because a combination of the next show being in Canada, and I don't think the Hardys will be on it. Well, Jeff, for
That is
reasons,
that's a good point.
and then also like you just said,
Yeah,
I don't.
I didn't think it. I didn't think of that. That's a good point.
And like you said, I don't think that the Dudleys the Hardys match needs to be for a title, and nor do I think it should be.
Mhm.
Just because, yeah. So I think the Rascals are winning here. I think that would be because I think that's one of the only title change we're going to see. So yeah, I think the Rascals are winning.
Yeah.
Because also I think that kind of if literally they do that, I don't have a problem with that part. Rascals going forward, Myron and Wentz being the two tag members, and when Trey comes back, you know what I mean? Because I did like Trey as a singles, but yeah, I'm going with Rascals. Okay, next we're going into what I think is we're going to have the back-to-back matches of the night. This is one of the first two. I think we're having Steve Macklin versus Jake Something for the national title. I believe it's a no DQ Falls Count Anywhere match.
No DQ, no count out.
Yeah, I think both guys are going to be in their element in this match. I
Yeah,
think it could go
definitely.
either way. I think if Jake won, I'd be fine with that. I think a lot of people would be fine with that. but I don't think that happens. I think Steve Macklin wins in a war.
Yeah, if you look at what Steve posted, he posted himself in the face paints. So you know what that means tomorrow, like when he puts that paint on, like it's wartime. So expect a good bar burner. We got a good card when you really look at it. Yeah, this is gonna be another one of them. Yeah, I'm like you, like uh Jake something. He's been spin around for a bit and still hasn't won a title, but I wouldn't mind if he somehow comes out on top of this. But again, Macklin, he's been a good defending champion, so this could go either way. I'm gonna stick with Steve probably because uh, I mean it could go either way, but I'm just gonna go with Macklin for now.
Yeah, same. Okay, now before I go into what should be the match tonight, I think this should. I predicted it last time. I think this could be a 5-star match. I know Meltzer's very picky. I know one of the I'm being a little tongue in cheek here, but I know usually what it takes to get a 5-star match is has to have Will Ospreay in it. He's not in this match, but I do think both these guys are more than capable of giving you a 5-star performance, 5-star plus performance. But Cedric Alexander taking on Leon Slater, I think Leon wins this, but again, I think this is match tonight. I think they're going to burn the house down.
Oh, definitely. Um, this is a great this is a great early title defense for Leon to kind of really establish this reign. He's going up against like a great talent in Cedric Alexander, uh, former cruiserweight champion, and tag champion. So like Cedric is no joke. Like this is going to be a great clash of styles, and as we saw, a preview on tonight's Impact. So obviously Leon going with the win, but it's not going to come easy. Like I think he's going to get a heck of a challenge, facing Cedric. So yeah,
Yeah.
expect a great match. Very competitive match.
And finally, we're going to move into our main event. It's going to be Moose taking on Trick Williams. I'm excited for this one. What are you thinking, Niall?
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. Uh, I think Moose is gonna bring a great match out of a Trick. Because Trick hasn't really faced big men from my knowledge, like big men like him, other than Obafemi and stuff. So and the good part that this is being in Moose's hometown, so the crowd's really gonna be eating up both guys. Um, yeah, first class can get involved. The system might get involved, but I think we're gonna get a fun match, out of these two, and Trick Williams, coming out with the win somehow. So expect a good main event. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I expect Trick to win. Um, I think that obviously I don't. I could see him winning. Not I could see him not winning clean. That doesn't bother me if he does. But yeah, I expect a good performance out
Oh,
of him.
he's definitely not winning clean.
Moose is gonna Moose is gonna give it all he's got. He always does. You know what I mean? Moose
Yeah.
goes out there and gets 100 every time. Real quick, circling back. Now that I think about it, because we have this show in Victory Road to BFG, I kind of want to change my prediction. I think Santana does win. I don't necessarily think that means that they could do something to where Sammy doesn't retire. Because the more I was just thinking about it, I didn't think it was going to be Sammy's last match. But if you're gonna have Santana, if we want Santana to win at BFG and that's the match we want, I don't think you can have Santana lose.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think Trick does win, and then we build to Santana and Trick part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm going with Trick.
I mentioned this in our group chat. I think Emergence really starts like building up to like Bound for Glory feuds and whatnot. Because for Santana, like win over EY and Sammy this week would really kind of parlay him, back, into contention. So yeah, tomorrow should be very interesting.
Definitely. Okay. Well, with that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe to this video, like and subscribe to Body Slam so you get notified whenever we go live, and many of the great people on Body Slam go live. Before we sign out, I want you to tell everyone where everyone can find you.
Good folks can follow me on Frequency IO on Twitter, as you see. Right now, I'm just kind of like parlaying whatever craziness, Twitter app and whatnot and stuff. So, but you'll see me, promoting Emergence, because I think it's gonna be a good show and everyone should check it out tomorrow. So, follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll be definitely live tweeting the show tomorrow. Make sure just look out for us tomorrow. We'll be back here with our thoughts on after the show. Catch us tomorrow. With that being said, we'll see you guys all later. Have a good night.